So we had a little bit of info. Obviously, when you're in a server by yourself, you can only test so much stuff. But my immediate reaction was, this shit ain't CS anymore. It's just such a far cry.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think of Yoru, right? Where Yoru, if he had worked, would have also very heavily changed how we default, how we gain info, how reliable info is, right? All sorts of stuff.
Look, let's jump into it, because I love what you said, Veli. You said, I wonder what the game would look like 3 years from now. To be honest, this is kind of what I expected the game would look like 3 years ago from now, except it looks like it now. Astra is been released into the game, and obviously she adds a really complex and interwoven set of abilities. I mean, this announcement trailer was fantastic. Thematically, she is such a wonderful addition to the game, but I mean, I know there are many people already theory crafting just the wacky ways in which she can be used.
Yeah, you know what's kind of cool? I love the fact that when they introduced her, it looked like Thanos coming out of nowhere, like with a hand, right? But these abilities right here, like, who even fully understands this yet? This is going to be so in-depth. This is going to be the most game-changing agent we've had in a while. I thought it was Yoru, but I was totally wrong with that. What she does around the entire map is insane.
Yeah, I was thinking about Thanos or Captain Marvel, or I think it's Starlight from Teen Titans. Like, it's so dope. Like, this video is awesome.
Starfire,
Even it's Starfire, that's it. And even coming into the game, like, I just bought it, so I loaded my game, bought her, unlocked the battle pass, and I tried her out for like the 5 minutes before we went on. She seems super cool. I think that now in ranked, people are going to auto lock controllers finally instead of duelists.
So,
I hope so.
Broadly speaking, right, her kit seems extremely powerful, but requires a fair bit of foresight or forethought. Like, it needs to be set up in advance. Obviously, her astral form is where she sort of projects into this plane where she can place down up to 5 stars, which she needs to purchase at the start of the round for 100 credits a pop.
It's her woke mode.
Yeah, I think it's 100, but yeah.
This is serious woke mode. Yeah.
You got to sweat hard for these. Yeah, I think they're 200 or 100, but mind you that you can only buy 5 for the round, right? So I do agree with you here, Uber, that you have to be meticulous and know what you want to do with this, because you can't really place them infinitely across the map. And plus, there's cooldowns every time you use it. So we get into the abilities a little bit more in details, but just to let you know, if you're looking at the middle bottom of that screenshot or the video, there's like one ability for each except her smokes that are 2 at a time, and then it's on a cooldown until you could use maximum 5 of these stars that you purchased.
Yeah,
I mean, this is Twitch yesterday with their announcement. That's what I'm thinking. Twitch just transcended and made the wokest decision I've ever seen around their branding around this month. And the Astra comes out. It's all meant to be. So let's talk about, okay, so obviously she places the stars down. Now, the Nebula is obviously quite interesting because she gets smokes, right? These are smokes. These kind of look like any other smokes that I've sort of seen in terms of their dimensions. I guess I don't know whether you can one-way these, right? Does anyone know if you can place stars in such a fashion that, I mean, you probably can, right?
You probably could.
There has to be a way,
because if you look at it, for example, the difference between the smoke from Omen, for example, is that it drops, right? And then you could make the smoke lower, you can make the smoke higher, depending where you're landing them. I haven't tried them if you could actually make one-ways, for example, on like the entrance of Icebox that we see some Omen players do right now of Garage, but it'll be something interesting to test. But if not, on the regular ground, it's just a half dome.
Yeah, Uber. So what Doug is saying in the chat, along with everybody, shout out to the chat real quick. And Doug, he was able to test out the agent as well. He's saying like bind a short, and Dream is saying you could do it on boxes. So like small boxes that aren't all the way high, just drop them on top and it's one way, easy. Really smart.
That's all I was wondering, because I think if that's not easy to do, then it's not nearly as nice, I would say.
Split, you can do it.
Yeah. Jealous of all these
now
people
my brain
that
is
get to.
Working.
I'm jealous of all these people that get to try before, and we have a weekly show talking about Riot's game every single week, and we've never gone into like any of the playtests. Ryan,
We did
please.
first strike. We did
Please.
first strike.
There is a reason. There's a reason that we do this podcast at this time of day, so we can jump in and actually talk about this stuff. But you're getting paid, so shut up.
True. No complaints.
Let's talk about Gravity Well. Thank you, for prompting us, because this is kind of busto. Essentially, players in the area are pulled. So first of all, I think players in the area are pulled towards the center of this nebula. They're slowed, and they get hit with vulnerable. Or is that?
You know what I'm thinking? Oh, I just think they're slowed. You know what I'm thinking right now? Agent synergy, baby. Imagine Astra and Killjoy's lockdown being in effect at the same time. And then like you put those down towards the border, so it makes it even harder for them to get out of that range. This can cause for some crazy trickery. Like, yo, come on now.
Actually, now that you mentioned it, like let's say like
Rim?
like the lockdown to, and then you throw these close to like wines, so you suck them in so they get locked down. Instead of, if for example, if Killjoy runs out of nanoswarms, she places them on B, or even that, like the suck it, the wells with the with the nanoswarm, the mollies at the same time, that could do a lot of damage. That with the aftershock breach. So when we look at teams in Korea that have like great synergy with these abilities, I think they're gonna be like this step ahead. And we're gonna have to study these teams. For example, Vision Strikers.
I mean, yeah, okay, that's fine. But then you find me to 6 hours in every day where I can watch the VODs. I'd rather just listen to you two tell me about it. So having played, I mean, we can talk about the Nova Pulse now, I guess, as well. This is obviously kind of frightening. There's a little bit of a warning, but I mean, you get hit like this, like you've been hit by Rolling Thunder, right? Like,
yeah,
the kind of stun, the concuss, I guess, that you experience.
You
don't really have much time to get out.
Yeah. So kind of like a fault line, pretty much, right? So like you're shooting a little bit slower, but it's like the same duration or very similar to the fault line, as the Rolling Thunder will definitely get you like fully screwed, which is fine, which is why it's just like a regular ability, like a C, for example, and not an ultimate. So it's pretty cool.
What if you combine it with a Gravity Well then?
Screwing that person
what
up,
if you
man.
just use both of them? Like, that's so gross. I suppose even like a player can see if 2 stars are clustered or placed very clustered together.
Correct.
They can probably tell, like, okay, this is like where
this
I don't
is
want to
happening.
be.
But fakes. Use it for fakes.
Yeah, but you could also Gigabrain. Can't you just Gigabrain back up into the sky, like twitch.tv, and then just like do it again? Like put 2 stars down. How much warning do people get? How much warning do people get when you put down a star between when you put it down and when you can activate?
You gotta hear it at least. Right?
I mean, you hear it, you see it at the same time. I mean, I did the astral projection when I was just before we went live, and it's pretty instant, right? So you could get out of your body wherever, whenever you want, and then just place these however and wherever across the map. You see the full map in astral form. So that's pretty cool. I think Casey, when he was watching, doing the watch party with us yesterday to watch these open qualifiers, he was saying, look, there's even like moments where you could put like 5 stars at once, and then just cover a whole entrance with a smoke for the full, like it's 70 seconds, I think, or 75 seconds in total.
Oh, yes,
with
over a minute
orbs,
of smoke.
because the smokes do last quite a long time. One thing that's cool, at least, is inside the smoke itself, is that it's super clear. So there's no haziness from like a jet smoke or a brimstone smoke. It's kind of like fighting in an omen smoke, pretty much.
And to be fair, like even though that does sound ridiculous over a minute of smokes, right? You got to remember at the same time, you're utilizing just one smoke ability with an entire agent. And last time I checked, Brim isn't in the meta anymore, so there's going to be a lot of playing around with her. I like it.
But worth bearing in mind as well that when you recall your stars, you actually get a free smoke for a short duration as well. So like kind of like a cloud burst duration, maybe slightly shorter, because you can obviously bring your, like Vance pointed out, you can bring your stars back, but there's a cooldown time on when that star can be reused once more. I mean, they're fusion reactors. I guess they take time to heat up. I don't really know, but so yeah, you get like a fake smoke, right? And you can still move through them. Like I see Jets do that kind of stuff fairly similarly. Like they use the cloud burst. It's only 4.5 seconds, but they can still use it to reposition. That will be interesting to see how it is used, but. All right, Gigabrains, talk to me about Cosmic Divide, because this seems Unbelievable.
Yes.
It goes across the map, man. It's huge. I think the wall lasts 20 seconds when I was counting with my fingers because I can't count on top of my head. And you can't shoot through it. So even when you get super close to the wall, it has like this nice little aura vibe music thing that you're in church or playing Chrono Trigger or something like that. It's super cool. You can walk
That is
through it.
insane.
You can't shoot through it, but you could actually throw abilities through it. So that's you could still do some ability damages through the wall.
This also dampens sound.
Dude,
So
that
that's
is
what I
going to be
meant.
insane.
Because- yeah.
Abilities?
That's it. Because of that org music and the when the wall is up, then you don't really hear anything close to the wall. And when you're super far from the wall, you don't even hear the aura, which means that potentially your opponents don't hear you either.
This is the ultimate retake ult. I'm telling you, Uber. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, I come from a video game where they put an infinitely long and infinitely high
guys have
wall
that.
in there. Yeah, we have a big ass wall in our game. We have a lot of things in there. It can be destroyed though. But I think what's crucial about this was that you cannot see through it. And you cannot hear what's happening on the other side of it. So, you know, we see like Omen, see like Viper balls, for example, being.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Like you think it's bad enough already that Viper walls basically shut down crossfires, right, on retakes, for example. We see it on Icebox sometimes. If a Viper doesn't put down like an early round tox screen, then like they can often use it in retake scenarios or to prevent, or when they want to hit a site just to make it impossible. I mean, we imagine being able to use this on like Icebox B side, right? The enemy team has no idea.
God.
You can shoot a recon bolt through it. So you can get information, but you can't shoot. You can't wallbang through this. You had to be on the other side of it. So I think Sova is still going to be really powerful because he can at least give you an impression of what's happening on the other side of that. But if your recon bolt hits your side of the wall, that radiating sort of reveal area doesn't actually work on the other side. So the bolt itself has to be on the other side of the wall. There's
You're a genius, Uber. So is Sova instantly a counter pick to her? Because I'm thinking of all the other intel agents out there.
I mean,
no one can do it like him.
There's a counter pick, then there's just an operator that you really need to take, otherwise you just get completely ruined.
Yes.
But
It'll be nice to test actually. Can you actually breach flash the wall?
Probably. I want to know if I want to know if you can.
I don't think so.
Because
that would be too cheesy.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
it'll be great.
You can Phoenix flash it. You can definitely Phoenix flash the wall.
Yeah, but if you flash it, does it hit the wall and go across? Because the reason I'm asking is because you do the ultimate, right? Like you said, it's like an overpowered Viper wall, which means now everybody could just run into the site and you're forcing your opponents to cross the wall, let's say on a retake. You're trying to defuse. So if they're not showing up, it's 20 seconds. The wall lasts 20 seconds. So if they're just staying on the other side of the wall, it's a free defuse for 7 seconds. So you have to think about saving your abilities as a team for these post plan situations if you see that the Astra ult is up, or you have to find ways to flash through that wall and then fight back in a gunfire.
To be very clear, you can curveball through the wall, right? If you're Phoenix, you can throw a flash, and then you can then step on the other side in the immediacy after that. But yeah, it looks like you can't use aftershock on that as well, which is fair. It doesn't act like a physical wall in all cases, right? You can also fire showstopper through and stuff like that. We'll have a look at that in just a second. But we saw here's something that was a little bit concerning. Well, not concerning. I think it'll get fixed pretty soon, but the kind of thing you don't always want to ship an agent with. Mendo, who you may know him from Team Liquid as a content creator, sort of found something interesting when it comes to Astra's stars up their place down.
Putting in my crosshair, it moves the fog of the star. See how it bends on where I'm putting my crosshair, right? You see this? Very easy. Super easy. You put your crosshair right here, you see under the star. Someone's swinging a headshot, bro, you can see, and they cannot see you. I'm not sure how this fog works, but the fact that you can do this means you can do some nasty one-ways in positions like this.
So obviously the stars aren't that big, but the closer you as the player holding the angle out of the star, the harder it is for your opponent to see through it. So that is obviously interesting. I think that it's pretty tech. Trust Mendo to do this. I remember when he was playing Apex Legends.
So techy.
Out of that game.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, you know, this is the kind of stuff that was definitely going to happen at higher levels, right? You can see through the star. Like I think the thing for Riot will be when people start using the star for like the wrong reason, they'll probably want to make changes. But someone coded that in. Someone obviously has coded that interaction. So
this is the first. This is the first aggressive smoke that we have in a game.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
It's used as a weapon. Smokes are used as weapons now, not only to attack but also to keep people away. Usually,
Mhm.
smokes are like, "Hey, there's gonna be someone here. Be careful. Be careful if you pass through it." Now it's like, "Oh, we got the purple smoke in front of us. Wardell's gonna opt the shit out of us now." You know what I'm saying? It's like we don't know who's looking on the other side of that mini smoke, so
Mhm.
let's stay back even longer now. This is the
Well-
first aggressive smoke we have in the game. I like
Yeah.
it. That's game changing.
That just to clarify too is like the star before they activate it too, right? So that means that let's say
It's a
you
double
put
whammy.
yeah, so if you put that star on window of bind, for example, where you have operators hanging on the top of B10, and then he's scoping through it. If he misses a shot, he could tell his Astra to pop the smoke up, right?
Yes.
So that could be very powerful in that sense. But like I mentioned, the punch hole, like in Rainbow Six Valley, like it's gonna be a small little
Yeah.
area, a small window, people don't expect it, and it could get shot through it where they don't see it when they're coming through from the other side, which is yeah, it's pretty strong. I think it's accidental. I would like to think that it's accidental. It could probably be fixed here.
If it's accidental, at least keep one of those clouds in the game. That type of variance is sexy.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. I don't really see this staying around too long. It's probably pretty easy to fix
It's
from like,
OP.
a coding perspective.
Yeah.
Also, you have to be standing rather close to it. Bear in mind, like Mendo might have been double zoomed standing behind that smoke, so it's possible that some of his agent's model was actually visible from the other side of the angle. But you know, all players like him needs is like a half, you know, or a quarter second leg up on you, and then you're sort of done. So,
Yeah.
I think we'll see that get worked out pretty quickly. Another one that I found very interesting, courtesy of Average Jonas, who showed us this one here, is that during Gigabrain mode, Astra can see some things that maybe she shouldn't be able to see. And yeah, we probably have the video here we can show you. Average Jonas is, look at the spike.
She's OP already.
You can see the progress of the spike defuse and if someone is faking it.
Oh. That's going to get fixed immediately.
You have to.
So
You have to fix that. Make the
this
spike
is-
invisible at least.
Okay, so Dream
You see when
reckons
it's
he patched it
halfway as
and
well,
He
yeah.
wasn't able to see it, so they may have already patched that out. But obviously, that's
Dream says he
incredibly
sees
powerful.
it.
No, he said he wasn't.
He
I think
wasn't.
wasn't
Oh,
able
never
to.
mind.
Okay, so
Yeah, it'll be nice
I
to
mean,
check.
you know, somehow, yeah, it
That's
turns
fine.
out this omnipotence or this omniscience, as it were, is kind of broken. It's not too much of a shock here. I think so. Astra, when she is in an astral form, she leaves her physical body behind. Right? You are
Correct.
vulnerable.
She's
elsewhere, no
vulnerable,
matter.
yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's,
So you find her, you could frag her. That's for sure.
I wonder how much. I wonder if we really see this playstyle. So you know, recently, guys, we've been seeing on Icebox, for example, attacking teams like keep a player back as like an anchor, right?
Yeah.
Curry did it, Steel does it, Spider does it, but more towards the A side here. You know, it kind of reminded me of like if you played Heroes of the Storm, there was a hero that never actually really entered the battlefield and just kind of like put like little brainworms on their teammates and just
It's pretty
run them
annoying.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this kind of, but this really feels like the definition of a controller, right?
Mhm,
At least with
mhm.
you can
Definitely.
and now we've seen, you know, Viper players, they set up the toxic screen and they just go back and spawn and they just sit there. So maybe that's the kind of style that Riot want to go for with controllers. It's like Tower of God, where they're like half of their, I don't know if you've seen the anime, but like half of their team are like in this little orb that I don't exist somewhere in between dimensions, and then just barking orders at the rest of their team.
Uber, you're part of Wu Gang as well. You love anime?
Oh, I love
Never
anime,
knew
bro,
this
yeah.
about you. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, dude, I watch way too much anime, bro.
Nice.
Let's have a look very quickly at some of the interactions with Cosmic Divide. We kind of already talked about it here, but this is kind of this is from Stylosis channel. Just a couple of the things that can sort of work through it or don't work through it rather. And that is
Yeah, that's
opaque.
it.
You cannot see what's on the other side. You see the showstopper goes through there. As
ability.
Yeah,
well.
so it goes through and it shoots. So you could definitely do abilities through the walls, and the recon dart goes through it, I think. It doesn't pulse through it.
See?
So you
That-
you
yeah.
really have to
I
shoot
like
it through.
it.
Yeah.
So you have to, you have to fire that recon sort of through the wall itself. I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure neural theft obviously will still show everyone normally. I don't know if the wall will interrupt tripwire. I think that'll be interesting. If there's a tripwire already set up across a gap, like it might still trigger.
Oh, that'll be I have to check that.
Yeah,
I'm
I mean,
waiting
there's-
for the first team to do this, and then someone ninja diffuses on the other side of the wall.
Well, this kind of, you know how like defending teams in the post plant sit in long C here. right?
Mhm,
Yeah.
It
mhm.
shuts this down. Attackers can just throw up a wall now and force the defenders to push. Like you don't,
You're
unless you have
right.
the utility. Well, you can do it with shock darts, I guess. I'm pretty sure shock darts still go through the wall,
Mhm,
but
mhm.
I think it's much harder for you now to like hold in the post plant on C from long.
Yeah.
Actually, dude, this is actually another thing that's super interesting because if you put that wall up, you can't really line up Silva arrows or mollies, for example, right?
No, you can't.
Because you're always looking at a certain place in the
Need a reference
stars or the
point?
yeah, exactly, a reference
Yep.
point. There's
Yes
ways
and-
that they could yes and no, yeah, for sure. Like let's say if your reference point is just in front of you when you're actually doing these setups, but a lot of these videos, including myself, when I was trying to do Killjoy alignments, I was looking at a certain spot in the sky. But if it's going to be now a huge ass wall that's going to be all purple, then I don't have that reference point anymore, which is going to be quite interesting to think about.
You got to hit the Kobe's for now on, baby. It's going to bring a lot more skill, man. I love it. This is exciting as shit. This is meta changing. But the question is okay, now her abilities look cool. They look
Mhm.
cool. But is she good enough now to replace the breaches or the skies of the world?
I think probably. I think that the stars actually provide enough deterrence to allow you to manipulate your opponents to a degree, right? Do you
Mhm.
think anyone, because you can't destroy the stars, right? It's one
No.
thing walking up to a site and seeing like an alarm bot and like nanoswarm just like sat there inactive. You just shoot them and then you go and plant. You cannot destroy the stars. So if you plant on top of this, like you're asking to get completely boomed into the Andromeda galaxy. You know what I mean? You don't. So this will definitely provide a degree of deterrence. I don't know how easy it's going to be to make plays with gravity well. The problem is that you don't know, and nor does the Astra at the start of the round. You don't know what ability is going to get applied to that star, right? You don't know if it's going to be a smoke, but
Exactly.
maybe if because what we see, I mean, a good example is like the way Immortals play, right? Or LG, they play sort of ahead of the enemy's utility, so they play contact and before the enemy or the defenders can get a chance to like deploy smokes and stuff, they're already on the site, right? And they actually make those smokes, for example, completely obsolete. Now, if you have that obsolete smoke, for example, and they're already traipsing through Octagon on B side, you can turn that into a gravity well instead, and actually
Correct.
give yourselves the ability to play up
Right.
against that contact instead of being like, wow, well, I put that smoke there. Guess it's shit. Don't have any utility left for this site take. So, you also need to play from a further distance away
turn.
because you know that it's gonna make the other team probably more aggressive to try and find you in the late round because they know if they leave this Astra unattended, she can place her stars unfettered. Like you can't like
Yes.
Omen, how you have two ways of smoking. One involves like a 3D map that goes around, and the other you can place in normal. You can't do that as Astra. You have to be vulnerable to place your stars down, which also sort of makes you think, okay, much of this has to be planned early in the round. And if you do any sort of star realignment or or new stars later in the round, that's quite risky and can be capitalized on by aggressive play.
Yeah,
Yo.
I'm with the school of thought that actually she could be really good for post plan scenarios because yes, you could get out of Astral form and you're vulnerable. So let's take for example, you're going to retake a site. If I'm going to be towards the rafters and coming back towards heaven, and I get into Astral form, it's very rare that I'm going to get flanked here from tree, from mid, or from long B at professional play because technically everybody's already set up inside the map outside of a main at tree. So I still have a chance to pop out of my astral body and then place what I need to place. So I think she could be very reactionary too. As an IGL calling as this type of
Yes.
controller, which could be quite awesome mid-round. It's like, hey, who do we have left as an agent versus who do they have left? Where can they play? I could place this here and there and then capitalize on that on the retakes. I think it could be pretty cool. That's it.
This has made Yoru relevant. Now Yoru's dimensional
Possibly.
rift actually has a
maybe.
use. Everyone's like,
Possibly.
Yo, Yoru, go kill the Astra. And just like, okay, just hide into the rift and just start looking for the Astra that's just like projecting in some corner of the map like shooting stars.
They both fight in space. It becomes like
You're right.
Mordekaiser in League of Legends.
Listen, I'm sure you have been, looking with great interest at Astra, and already you're probably thinking about the kind of impact that agent can have in the game. Can you share with us some initial thoughts from yourself, or maybe how the team has been discussing how she might be employed in pro play in the future?
Sure. So, just like a lot of other teams, we had one player that was invited to test early. So we had a little bit of info. Obviously, when you're in a server by yourself, you can only test so much stuff. But my immediate reaction was, this shit ain't CS anymore. It's just such a far cry.
Yeah.
And it also makes me think of Yoru, right? Where Yoru, if he had worked, would have also very heavily changed how we default, how we gain info, how reliable info is, right? All sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think that this is a sign that Riot is very willing to do some wild design shit, which I am
Test the
super
boundaries.
down for.
Yeah.
I mean, I have like some small nitpicky stuff, like some of the interactions could be a little more intuitive, or like I feel like having a smoke be 2 different colors is really annoying for like crosshair colors and colorblind people and shit. So just like small nitpicky stuff, but overall, love the design, think it's super interesting, and I also really like the way they've given her some sort of interesting inherent weaknesses. So in one element of that is like, reminds me of Sky, for example, where all of her abilities, it takes like 3 years to pull your gun out after you use an ability, right? You are not, if you're getting run at, just keep your gun out. Don't use abilities, right? And Astra, it's to an even greater degree, right? Going into her form to throw down a star, then come out of that form, then there's a little delay before you can pop the star, and it's like, it is not easy to just be super reactive. The way with an Omen, you're just like, I'm blinding now. Like, you're running at me, I'm just blinding, I'm fighting. She doesn't have that ability, right? So that's an interesting weakness. And then she has way less one-ways that she can do than Omen and Brim, right? She can't do like the one-way on Ascent A main for some reason on that wall. You can't place stars on some walls. You can't place them on roofs. You can't place them in some of the doors. It's basically only on very obvious boxes and like map geometry. Her smokes are also shorter. They're not as tall. So like when you're trying to smoke long C on Haven and there's someone on top of the box opping, they're going to be able to see you.
Yeah.
So I like stuff like that where the advantages and disadvantages are kind of baked into the kit and they're not just numbers. I really, really like that. This, I think she seems a little strong. I think that she could work on her own or potentially with an Omen or a Brim so that you can free up her utility a little bit more. I think her kit is maybe too cheap. Maybe limit her to 4 stars or only give her 1 for free every round, something like that. But overall, as far as what it points to for the game and Riot's design philosophy, super, super happy with it.
I love it.
So, just theory crafting again, because you're saying that she could play alongside another smoker, like an Omen, so that she could actually free up her kit. Then, are you thinking of teams, for example, like TSM that went Sentinel-less until now the Open Qualifiers 3, or a TSM that went double smokes in Open Qualifiers number 2, would actually benefit of this type of agent and playstyle? And what type of playstyle does it fit into as well as a player?
Sure. So I think because she isn't that good at playing reactively or like really fast, if people are making plays, she does need more of that setup time. So having other characters that are good at controlling space and controlling the map, it just like, it snowballs, it synergizes together, right? So having another smoker that can take up space, really good. Having strong info characters like a Sova. I mean, obviously you almost always want to run Sova, but some people are swapping out to Sky instead. I don't think that this hero is a hero where you would do that. I think it's much more about being able to be very defaulty on T side, because again, she has a hard time like going really fast in some of these trades. You either kind of are going to pop your cooldowns and your stars fast off rip and just give it to him, right? Or play really defaulty on T side, because her utility can be used to break pressure points so easily and force you to use multiple pieces of utility to kind of take the space back, right? So if you want to play slow and hit in the late round, she's going to be very, very good at that. And then on T side or on CT side, feels like a cross between a smoker and a sentinel with how much she can kind of lock down and anchor a site. I feel like her CT side is going to be really, really strong.
She's an entry fragger's best friend, man. Think like honestly, think about her going in behind like a Sub-Rose or somebody. And then the fact that she could put her stars in a corner, and if someone sees that corner, they're gonna be like, oh shit, we need to react and move, or you know, we need to make something happen. Shoot a shot, give away intel, something like that. And then someone pushes in and gets the kill.
Or you just
Almost good enough to be entry, but not fast enough by executing those. I don't know. This is gonna take some time. I'm gonna love to see the content for her.
Yeah.
Here's the problem, right? This is one of the last things I want to say before we move on. Let's say that you're like playing into a site, you're an attacker, and you know there's an Astra there. Like, and you actually see. Let's say you're hitting B main on ascent, right? And there's an Astra star just as you move onto the site. You have to force that utility out, because I mean you could try and sort of bait the smoke, but if you just walk over and the Astra is not dumb, she just uses gravity well and you get sucked in. So all of a sudden, what it could have been one thing, right? It could have been a smoke, or it could have been, you know, and then all of a sudden it becomes something completely different based on like how you're playing. So what I love about Astra is that she is able to respond to different contexts. The problem with Yoru out of the box is that so much of Yoru's potential hinged on what you could make your opponents believe, right? On whether your opponents were susceptible to your efforts at misdirecting them, right? Astra out of the box comes with a lot of utility, a lot of things that just work. You get to decide how they work. And almost like Invoker in Dota, you can make these changes on the fly. Your smoke doesn't have to be a smoke, you know, providing I think you got to purchase up the abilities, but you know, you can decide that, this is now for the smoke that you might use to try and plant the spike instead becomes a gravity well when the enemy team tries to defuse it or whatever. So there are a lot of layers to this. I don't know if we'll ever really get a standardized way of playing it, but I love the idea of you being able to pivot to using these stars very differently. So it's very, very, very good design in my opinion.
The only thing that sucks is that we won't be able to see her play until Masters.
Oh, stop it. Stop it, Vin. Stop. Why you gotta say that?
Yeah.
Oh,
I gotta wait 2 weeks, man. It's not gonna happen this weekend. It's not gonna happen next weekend.
I mean,
we just spoke about her for 25 minutes, and then you dropped that bomb on us.
And you're assuming that teams pick her up and are confident using her by that point.
Yeah.
That's all another thing.